Hello, good evening and welcome back once again to In The Know, brought to you by the Racing Post and Coral. And we are halfway there with 2 days down and 2 days to go over at the Cheltenham Festival. And, well, the heavens opened, the watering cans opened, but it didn't stop some impressive winners in the big races today. And we'll be talking about those horses in a few minutes' time with another fantastic lineup of guests. But the big matchup in the champion chase didn't materialise, with Shishkin leaving his race behind in the ground. So Gerhard made it look pretty easy in the end in the Ballymore. And of course, there was some impressive stuff from La Homme Presse out in front in the Brown Advisory as well. Venetia Williams and Charlie Deutsch teaming up with a very popular winner indeed. Delta Work, not necessarily a popular winner though, if you wanted the headlines of Tiger Roll bowing out with a win. With stablemates like him, who needs enemies. And of course we had a fantastic winner of the bumper when it eventually got going as well, in the shape of Facile Vega, who could well be getting Supreme Novice Champion hurdle quotes and all sorts of things over the next couple of years to boot. So it was pretty desperate weather, and if you're Nicky Henderson after the champion chase, or Paul Nicholls after pretty much every race today, you'll be pretty frustrated. But the likes of Willie Mullins in particular will have been very happy with the way today unfolded. And he could have a very good day, of course, tomorrow. He currently has the favourite in all 3 Grade 1 events and the Grade 2 Mayor's Novice Hurdle as well. So it could be a fantastic day for him, as he took a while, as ever, to get off the mark with that last winner on day 1. And then he'll probably win everything under the sun from here on in. This is live and interactive, of course, so get in touch, like and subscribe to the stream on YouTube and Facebook, and get those comments and selections in as well. Tell us how you did today and what you fancy for tomorrow on that chat box where I've got right in front of me here. Right, who is on the panel tonight? Let's find out, because Graham Rodway has given way, and coming down from not north of the border, but it's quite a while ago now. He was a fancier of Korak Rambler yesterday. He tells me it's about the form and not just about patriotism. But Keith Melrose is joining me in the studio. And Keith, we've had a good day out in the office today. Trying to sort out the going allowance and seeing whether it was Hexham or Utoxeter. But no, it was the Cheltenham Festival today, apparently.
It was, yeah. I couldn't believe it was the same course as yesterday. It was, yesterday we had a course record, a 2-mile hurdle course record, lowered by, 4 lengths?
Yeah.
And today, they were swimming.
Yeah.
It was quite remarkable, wasn't it, really? Graham Rodway was there today, and he told me, when I last spoke to him, he had the hairdryer to his shoes.
So are we blaming Graham then? Is that it?
Let's. I tend to do that.
Yeah. Is that a genuine rivalry between you two? Because he was giving you a bit of needle yesterday as well, I think.
So I heard, yeah. I don't watch him on here, so I don't watch when he's on.
So it's developing.
Yeah, it must be. It all started with Energym versus Shishkin, which we'll obviously get to. We didn't really get round to today, did we?
No, we didn't. It was, it was a strange one. After you got to. I mean, it's not the first champion chase in recent memory where it's turned into a bit of a damp squib in the end. We had an incredibly impressive winner, but there was definitely a strange feeling after it.
Well, yes. I mean, you wouldn't have thought, looking at the field of 8 you got declared, that the winner would end up punching down, which was exactly what Energym did. He was left to beat Fernambio Sevilla, which, with the best will in the world, Fernambio Sevilla is a Grade 2, Grade 1 horse. Obviously, Chacun Poursuit fell, Shishkin didn't go a yard, Nubin Egger didn't even face the starter because of the ground. So in the end, it really was a bit of a disappointment of a race. Energym, that horse is a champion.
Yeah.
So we can't take that much away from him. The race was a disappointment. There is no getting away from that.
Yeah, albeit Willie Mullins will think that maybe it was his just rewards after Nicky Henderson had beaten a few of he'd fancied runners over the years, the likes of Min and Underso, of course, in the past 5 years or so. Keith Melrose in the studio then, at home, Tom Segal, who will have been very happy as La Homme Press jumped them into the ground in the Brown Advisory. Shame it didn't do it in the Turners for the anti-post bets, Tom. But Venetia Williams and Charlie Deutsch teaming up, and I mean, if jumping's the name of the game, Tom, then that was certainly what won the race.
I think he's just an outstanding racehorse. I think he'll win next year's Gold Cup, Ross. I just think he's got everything I like in a horse. I just love the way Charlie gave him a little flick halfway up the run, and he, went, I thought he had stones in hand. I think he's an absolute superstar, and I think he's right up there with one of the best chasers I've seen for 10 years or so.
Yeah, I mean, he pretty much whatever you put in front of him, he absolutely relishes it, and he has pricked going away again over the last. I think was he 16-1 after the race.
I didn't get 16-1. I got shorter than that, but I did have a few quid on him. I think he's. He was too big. They always go too big, and someone nabs some journalist on the racecourse, nicks all the prices. But I think he's a great horse. I really enjoyed watching him perform today.
Yeah, of course, he could face last year's winner of that race in next year's Gold Cup. You could have Monkfish versus L'Homme Pressé, which would be a fantastic matchup.
That certainly would. And they're not exactly the same type of horse either. L'Homme Pressé is really exciting to watch, and he just gets out there and does his own thing. And Charlie Deutsch decided, I'm not going to let Ahoy Senior do this, so he went out and took him on. Sat on his right, which was a bit, as we were talking, weren't we? And Ahoy Senior jumps right, L'Homme Pressé jumps left. They were on the wrong sides from each other at one point. We thought they were going to high five.
Yeah, there was going to be a proper clash in the air, but it didn't materialise. At the track today was Coral representative David Stevens, and apart from the 50-1 winner in the Coral Cup, pretty much all of the fancied ones went in. How did you enjoy your day at Cheltenham today, David? Did you come away with dry clothes and money in your pocket, or quite the opposite?
No, I need the hairdryer on the shoes as well. It was that sort of day. It's a real shame. I mean, yesterday was fantastic, and the forecast for the next 2 days is supposed to be good. But spoke about the clerk of the course and who'd be a clerk of the course last night. Had to make the decision to water. Then the rain came, more rain than expected came. So it was a tough day for John Pullen, but I thought he coped with it well, dealt with it all well. Actually, for bookmakers, it wasn't that bad at all, Ross. I mean, Doubt Work, although he was sent off favourite, did us a massive favour, because Tiger Roll at 3-1 would have been an absolute shocker of a result. He's such a popular horse. Shishkin getting beaten, and well beaten in the Champion Chase, another huge result, as was Global Citizen seeing off Andy Dufresne in the Grand Annual. So no complaints for us at all at the halfway point. Bit of housekeeping on some of the others. We were 14-1 L'Homme Pressé for next year's Gold Cup, but I'm hoping if any of the boys, Nighty Was, if you're watching, could just drop me a line, see if that's still the case. And Fasar Vega, 7-2 favourite for next year's Supreme Novices. And for once, that's a price that I think, short though it seems, is probably fair, because Fasar Vega was monstrous in that bumper.
Yeah, it really was. And we'll cope with the track, copes with conditions. Obviously has the perfect pedigree as well. It's hard not to see him being a bit of a dominant force over the next couple of seasons. Anything else to mention from today? I guess just a quick word on Sir Gerhard, Tom. Obviously, they swerved the Supreme yesterday. Very different conditions today. I thought he was given a lovely ride under the circumstances. Might not have beat anything that he hadn't already beaten before, but they'll be pretty excited about his prospects. Yeah,
champion hurdle horse, isn't he? I still think they ran him over the wrong trip. In terms of, I think they'll drop back to 2 miles next year. He's so keen. Hopefully, him, Constitution Hill, and Honeysuckle have a mash up in the champion hurdle next year, because that'll be something to watch, won't it?
Yeah, certainly would. Anyway, we'll crack on with tomorrow in a second, but don't forget we've got a members club offer here at the Racing Post as well. Stay ahead of the field, £9.99 for your first month, and get all the details and the stats and the tips and analysis as well. Of course, Aintree just around the corner, so the Punchestown down to come as well. It's certainly not over, is it? It'll be the Lincoln before you know it as well. we'll be studying back-end videos of flat handicaps. It's all to come. And we've still got 2 days of the Cheltenham Festival 2022, and we start off with a 4-runner race tomorrow, which would be very disappointing. I guess it is disappointing, but there have been essentially 4 novice chasers, and of course plenty of novice chasers in the Ultima and the King Muir as well. So there's enough opportunities for them, so no surprise to see one race get a bit of a short shrift. However, we do have 2 very talented horses indeed taking each other on in the shape of Galloping Deschamps and Bob Ollinger. Even money the pair. El Bada 22-1. Bustleton is 40-1 outsider of the 4. This time last year, Keith Melrose, one was bolting up at a Grade 1, one was bolting up in a handicap. They're here today, rated £3 between the two of them. Fairly different types. Shame about the lack of other runners, but this is going to be a cracking little matchup. It
is, and yeah, you see a lack of other runners. We didn't see this about Energumen and Shishkin, did we, when they ran in Ascot? And they had 4 runners, the other 2 didn't matter, and it still was the race we all wanted it to be. And I think this could be the same. Galopin Des Champs and Bob Olinger, like you say, they are a bit fire and ice. Galopin's going to probably go out there, potentially in a relay with Elbara, maybe, or the other two both tend to go on a little bit. But either way, Bob Olinger is going to stalk Galopin Des Champs, and we just have to see how it pans out. I would have been a little bit more excited had it not been his testing.
Yeah,
the way it is, Galopin, he's starting to get nibbled at in a few places, and I can see that. I think he probably should be favourite if the ground's testing, because testing ground tends to suit horses ridden prominently more, tends to blunt the speed of these quickeners like Bob Olinger is. So I think it is just swinging slightly towards Galopin.
It does. Galopin's 2 runs on heavy ground last year, pulled up in 6th at 100 to 1 in a Grade 1. Bob Olinger absolutely relished it last season in the Lawlers and Nays.
That P and 6 were both the other, but they were pre-Martin Pike.
Yeah.
And we know there's certain other things apply before that stage, shall we say, so I wouldn't be reading too much into that.
Okay, so you're siding towards Galopin?
Yeah, I mean, I thought I'd be fairly apathetic in terms of betting in the race, but if there's still this sort of price before the off, I think Galopin should be clear favourite, so I may get involved.
Okay, Galopin, Des Champs and Bob Olinger then even money, the pair. Galopin for Keith here at Tom. I'm going to ask you for your selection in a second, but the main thing I've heard about Bob Olinger this year is about he hasn't impressed with his jumping. But I mean, he's run 2 races over fences. I think the first one he looked a bit novice-y, but I was pretty happy with the way he put it all together, especially over the last 3 last time out. What do you make of Bob Olinger?
I think he's been absolutely fine. I don't know where they get it from. I think it's when you have a superstar horse that everyone thought was going to be the second coming and the greatest chaser they've ever seen, and they make one little mistake in their first thing, everyone's sort of on them like a ton of bricks. He jumped, 90%, better than 90% of the first time novice chaser did on his first start, and I thought he was fine yesterday. Patrick Mullin says he's slower than James Stewart speaking. I heard him say the other day. James Stewart, if you remember, was one of those Western men that spoke like really slowly. He said Bob Olinger jumped slower than him, we'll thrash him. But I'm not sure. I don't think Bob Olinger is a slow jumper at all. I don't think he's a bad jumper at all. I have no idea who's going to win, but I'm really looking forward to watching it because I think they're 2 outstanding horses. If they bump into Long Press next year, I just think we're really lucky at the moment. We've got some really exciting horses. I think last maybe 5 or 6 years ago, after Corto and Denman left, we were sort of struggling a bit for real superstars bar Altior, but I think we've got loads now, and I'm really looking forward to seeing them all clash heads, including tomorrow.
Yeah, it's very much the cream rising to the top, isn't it? But the cream is particularly good.
Oh, it is, yeah. I mean, Tom's erased Sprinter Saka from history, unfortunately, there, but we'll let that one go. No, they are. I mean, Bob Olinger, he's not going to run in a Gold Cup next.
I think he's coming back a bit.
He's having a go at me.
He's having a go, yeah.
He is. No, he's just having a chuckle.
He's just having a laugh.
He's calling me something under his breath. We know what's going on there. But I would be surprised if Bob Olinger turned up in a Gold Cup. To be honest, he looks like a horse that can really quicken up. I thought he should have been in the Champion Hurdle this year. Do you think he might have won this year's Champion Hurdle?
Well, I mean, it's a different. Obviously,
it's a moot point.
The stable's a big player.
Well,
in
that's true. Yeah, it's a moot point with Constitution.
Could you imagine if he had turned up and beat Honeysuckle on the line?
Delta Work beat Tiger Roll.
Fair enough.
Not quite the same. I'm being facetious.
Tiger Roll has some, at least a few.
Yeah, no, it's absolutely fine. I mean, but it's just a hypothetical to say. Bob Olinger, he's that sort of horse.
Yeah.
That he's got a lot of speed. Whereas Galopin Des Champs might be one that you bounce out and make a lot of the running with. Him against Long Press is going to be interesting from the minute the flag goes down because of the way they both race. But let's get this out of the way first. Yeah, let's see how they get on here.
Let's not get carried away. Yeah, because as Ed says, sitting on the fence, Tom. We're talking about races that are going to win in 12 months. Tom doesn't know which ones are going to win tomorrow. Yeah,
Conor are going to take £1 million in this race and have gone evens each of 2. So can't blame Tom.
The thing is about this race, I think they're absolute both potential superstars, but I think Bob Olinger is in theory suited by this small field, this kind of potentially tactical race. The 2 times Galopins looked absolutely incredible. We're in the Martin Pike where he got a proper gallop, and last time out at Leopardstown where it was just relentless, wasn't it? Is there a potential that Bob Olinger just kind of outspeeds him a little bit?
Well, I talked about this in argument today, is that if on better ground, which we thought it was going to be until the rain came, Townend has the confidence to ride aggressively, which is, had it been better ground here, he would have had that room to really ride Galopin Des Champs aggressively, whereas he has to be a little bit more circumspect when the ground's more testing. But all the evidence shows that soft ground is in his favour in terms of running styles. So there's no definitive answer here. It means it does make Townend's job maybe slightly more difficult in a way, but he knows he knows if he does 16-second furlongs to 3 out, he's probably going to get buried.
Yeah.
So he needs to be a bit quicker than that. He needs to make sure they press on early doors. And if he doesn't, then at that point I'd be getting involved in Bob Ollinger and running, I think.
Okay, so if you see him looking at his watch, then we know.
Looking at the bottom right of the screen for the RTV section.
Looking at the big screen. How fast am I going here? Galloping to Champ then for Keith. Bit of fence sitting for Tom, which means, David, it's over to you to give us the 1, 2, 3, 4 in order, please.
Move over, Tom. I'm joining you on the fence. I think the fact that we spent so long discussing what, in effect, is a 2-runner race tells you how fascinating and equally how difficult this is. And if James Knight and co can't split them, I'm certainly not going to try. Even money the pair. Take your pick tomorrow. I just hope, as Keith referenced there, the Clarence House Chase, that was a small runner field that turned into the race we wanted. Let's hope this is the same. Let's hope this isn't another Champion Chase where one of the leading contenders goes early and the other one comes home in their own time. They're both potential superstars at different times. Visually, they both look stunning. They've both obviously got form here. It's a race to savour. A bookie should never say, just watch this one. And fortunately, plenty of people tomorrow will get off the fence. But yeah, I can't split them. I'm with Tom up on that fence.
Okay, very well. I'm going with Bob Ollinger about that. He's been slightly hard because I loved him ever since he beaten by Fernie Hollow and then went up in trip and was jumping hurdles for fun. But he did beat Gaillard de Maigny by significantly further than Galloping de Champs, and that's the angle I'm using. Off-World, though, says, crap race, don't care. So thanks for your comments there, Off-World.
And the first thing I thought when I saw those decks was crap. You know, it's the horse that could have won the champion order this year, a horse that probably, well, not probably, but was favourite for the Gold Cup next year. It's crap, though, isn't it?
Yes, yeah. What I would like to see, though, is Gallopin versus Bob Ollinger versus Statler versus Lompress versus Brave Man's Game. You know, that kind of. So it is a shame.
But you suggested this, didn't you?
Yeah.
One race, 2.5 miles.
One novice chase, one novice hurdle, one championship hurdle, one championship chase. Just get them all in the race. 2.5 miles. The speedsters versus the stayers.
As long as you set up the Guinness Village, everybody will descend anyway.
Exactly, yeah, exactly. There we go. Okay, so the Turners then. First race of the day tomorrow. 2 potential superstars and 2 horses potentially having a nice day out. But let's not get carried away too soon. As we move on to the Pertemps Network final, of course, which is significantly easier. I mean, if Tom wasn't sure what's going to win the Turners, I can't wait to find out his view on the Pertemps, where Cider Burley is 5-1 to repeat the dose. Winter Fog is 11-2 with Alaphilippe, 7-1 Dunboyne, 12-1 Sassy Yet Classy, 14-1 Ballyandy and Tullybeg and Volcano, and bigger prices the rest. Tom, over to you here, where Cider Burley is top of the betting, unsurprisingly, for Gordon Elliott, who has got 3 winners and a heavily backed second on his CV for the last 4 years for this race. But this is actually your type of race, isn't it? Because, as you were saying with Brazil the other day, you're a man who watches the replays back and makes notes, and they have to pass the eye test. And this is very replay heavy, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean, there's loads you can fancy. Obviously, I just thought it's been pretty ominous that the Irish have completely dominated the handicap hurdles so far this week, haven't they? The Coral Cup today was a wipeout. The Boodles was a wipeout. And I just, a lot of people are telling me Alaphilippe's thrown in and all this kind of stuff. I'm not convinced. I think the Irish will win it. And I think Cider Burley will probably win it. I think his festival form of 2 wins in this race and a second in the Stayers is standout form, really. I think he'll love the testing ground. He's got a good claim of taking his weight down to a lower mark than when he won it 2 years ago. I don't think there's been any deterioration in his form whatsoever. I think he's got a massive chance, despite being the favourite. The other one I quite like, having said I think the Irish will win it, is the old boy Ballyandy. I think he's going to run really well too. I think, it's only last year's Greatwood when he was second to the Shunter off a mark of 154. He's running off 150 tomorrow with the kid taking £10 off Finn Lambert, takes him down to 140. He was third, beaten a neck or something in a Coral Cup of 148. He's won a bumper, and his last 2 wins, first 2 times over 3 miles, he's been incredibly impressive. Now, you might say only beat Kansas City Chief at Bakerland, but Kansas City Chief's been in tremendous form this year. I know he's an old boy. And then last time he only beat Jepek, they'll tell me, but you gave him loads of weight and he was really strong at the line. He has been crying out for 3 miles. He's got loads of festival form. He's got loads of soft ground form. He's got loads of Cheltenham form. think the two at the top will do for me.
Okay, there you go. A couple for Tom for the Pertemps then. Cider Burley is 5-1 favourite here. Obviously, Gordon Elliott said the boss's Oscar second last year, but between 2017 and 2020, Gordon Elliott had 9 runners in this race. 3 of them won, and the other 6 finished at least 5th. He's got 6 entered this year.
Is it still true that he's never won a qualifier? Or maybe
Probably.
he's won one. He's like Elliott's record. Obviously, he's won the final a million times, but he's won 1 or 0 qualifiers, which that just sums up the Pertemps, doesn't it?
Yeah.
And if it's for that reason that there's very few arenas in which I would pick a fight with Tom Segal, but this Pertemps final definitely isn't one. However, I just saw the race totally differently in this regard.
Okay.
So I thought Cider Burley, he's the sort of horse that sits as favourite until people decide what they want to back, and then they get behind something else and it goes off favourite instead. I've gone with Alaphilippe because he's plainly been laid out for the race, but so have so many.
Yeah.
But he has that form from when his novice days at Haydock. You know what Haydock gets like. It's deep as anything. He won that race very well. That's the best he looked as a novice hurdler.
Mm-hmm.
And now he's obviously back again in what's going to be quite deep ground again. Thought he made quite a compelling case. What I may also do is have a horse at enormous odds just for a little bit of interest. I've been interested. Coursaran looked like a horse that was massively chucked in over fences off a similar sort of mark to what he runs off tomorrow. He never really jumped with that much conviction. He got struck into when he was 4th to Corach Rambler here actually. I fancied him to win that day in December. And he's now back over hurdles, having had one go to get handicapped. Not had to get qualified, sorry, behind Impressive Lady. Then chucked into this one. I think he's better than that mark, and he's 40-1 for this. So I might have a little bit on him because he's a horse I thought was going to win on half decent handicap chase. And if he wins the Pertemps final at 50s, then I'll never forgive myself.
He's the global citizen of this race.
Well, yes, a lot of people are
in reverse.
A lot of people are over global citizens. A hurdler, and then he's turned up and won that Grand Annual. He'd slipped down to a really attractive mark as it happened. And one of these horses that sometimes these horses in these Cheltenham handicaps they just sneak in the bottom of the weights.
Yep.
They stay a big price because nobody notices them.
Yeah.
These are Cheltenham handicaps. There's 150 horses running on these cards. It's hard to get noticed if you're sneaking in at the bottom of the handicaps.
You're following the Corach Rambler form off a cliff now, it would seem.
No, Coursaran's just... He looked really... He was going to win that race at Lingfield by half the track, and I thought he was going to win the Corach Rambler race. I really fancied him that day, but yeah, it's not because of that form I fancy him here.
Okay, but it doesn't harm, does it?
No, of course it doesn't. No, of course.
So you're going for despite the fact that they won all the handicap hurdles last season. Mm-hmm. They've won the Fred Winter. They've had the 1, 2, 3 in the race today as well.
Yeah, because I don't know their form.
Fair enough. Okay, a couple of runners for either. We mentioned a few others, of course. Winter Fog has been talked up all winter for this race as well. Only the second start for Emmett Mullins, but behind Panda Boy at Leopardstown last time out. And in that Panda Boy race was... we were talking earlier, we'll get to the Kim Muir a little bit later on, but there are Kim Muir horses and there are Pertemps horses, Tom, and Dunboyne is one of the most Pertemps horses I've ever seen in my life.
Possibly, yeah. I mean, he just could be overrated, though, couldn't he? I mean, people keep telling me he's thrown in, he should have won this, he should have won that. Has he got any form? You know, I can't find it. I've looked for it. He will like the ground, and he is a Gordon Elliott horse that might be thrown in. But, you know, as I say, I use my eyes, and my eyes tell me he's not very good.
Okay, fair enough. I thought not everything, but plenty went wrong for him on his penultimate start in that.
But he was 15th or wherever it came, you know, and he's had quite
the fifth, the run at the fifth behind Panda Boy. I thought that was a good run.
Yeah, he was 13th, wasn't he? He's had quite a few goes. He's not, you know, he could be a Gordon Elliott special. I wouldn't put anyone off backing him because I just don't know. But from what I can only go on what I've seen, and I haven't seen it with him yet.
Yeah, I didn't. Not the penultimate one. He was 13th last time, but he was 5th on his penultimate run where he stumbled and he got hampered by a fall and he ran on to finish 5th. But
the Winter Fog race, the one with Winter Fog in. I get you.
Yeah. So okay, the Pertemps then tricky as ever. Let's see if anyone else at home's been watching the videos back. Volcano for Bigfoot Sports on Dunboyne, says David Ching. He says I've no clue why. I just follow Elliot and Davy blind.
You'd do better than me if you just did that, wouldn't you? So that's you know, it's like you Dermot Weld at Galway in the old days.
Just find a system, find an angle, and follow it blind, and ignore everyone watching videos back and looking at £2 this and £3 that. Sassy yet classy for me, says Benke 88, and Andy Sim backed Ballyandy last time. He's got Cheltenham form, looks a good each way. The Pertemps then here, David Stevens. Have you been playing the videos back? How many places have we got here?
We have got 6 places in this one. I'm with Tom on side of Burley. I think he's just got to be in any calculations, given his festival record. Rob James taking off 7, and he's currently the 5-1 favourite. Obviously, Dunboyne the price has collapsed. I mean, he was 16-1 not that long ago. He's now 7-1. So plenty of people have seen something, whether it is just the Gordon Elliott factor, or whether it is something they've seen in the form. But Dunboyne is a big mover. I would have side of Burley on my side, but also one at a massive price. Again, I know I'm steering away from the Irish, but Nicky Henderson and Nico de Boinville team up with Mill Green, who was second in the qualifier up at Haydock. It was very heavy up there that day. He's running the Martin Pipe here before, but this is his first time, I say, over this trip at the festival. And Nicky's horses, Shishkin aside, obviously, which we'll put down to the ground, are running well this week. So Mill Green at a big price, around 40-1. But this is our first special of the night. If you like cider Burley, we'll chuck in the other JP McManus runners in this as well. We were 7-2 JP to own the winner here, but it is now 9-2 JP McManus to own the winner of this Pertemps final.
Okay, 9-2 out from 7-2.
You had a good stat about McManus, didn't you?
I did, yeah. I have to try and find the exact stat, but basically, 10-1 and under. He's got a fantastic record. I think it's sort of 10 from 76. I think somewhere around there. 11-1 or bigger. I'm pretty sure it's 0 from 125 and only 2 placed in handicaps at Cheltenham.
No further comment required. I think
Yes,
it's fair
yeah.
to say that.
I've got a bone to pick with you, Mr. Brierley, over your stats.
Was it the French Breds
Yes,
in the Brown Advisory?
Because of your stats, I talked myself out of long press and went on to Ahoy Senor. So can you keep your stats to yourself, please?
Absolutely. Well, I mean, they're there to add colour to the show. You don't have to follow. I mean, Tom tells me I'm talking absolute poppycock every time I bring one up, don't you, Tom?
Yeah.
So there you go.
Got an hour to fill here, Tom.
Right, let's move on, shall we? Before David Stevens drives from Cheltenham to the studio. See, if you were in here, David, we could have a proper talk about it. But let's crack on.
The other disappointing thing, of course, Newbie Negra not running. We still don't know how what the Spanish bread stats are.
I know. Well,
disappointing.
Well, I mean, the Spanish each-way treble today was Amarillo, Sky, Ahoy Senor, and Nube Negra, and you had a second and a fifth from the other two, so it could have been a great payout in the end. So I'm going with that Spanish form. Let's move on to the Ryanair then, and the Grade 1 action here, and potentially another superstar, another defending champ, of course, as we have in the 2 feature races tomorrow, in the shape of Allaho, who made this race his own last season, and made the rivals into mincemeat. He's 8-13 to follow up again. Conflated, that big price winner, a big price tip from Tom and Keels is 13-2. Shan Blue is 9-1. Janadil is 11-1. Eldorado Allen is 14-1. Melon is 16. St Calvados does not go. Paul Nichols deciding the ground is not for his runners, and it's 33-1 and bigger the rest. So far this week, Keith Melrose, the main contenders, obviously Shishkin aside, but even then it was Energamine that picked up the pieces. The defending champs have come back. The right horses have gone for the races, and they've played up to form. They've gone, apart from Tiger Roll perhaps, but they are doing what's expected of them. Allaho will be people's, play spot banker, win banker, accumulator banker, whatever. And,
if you had to pick one of those horses to win,
it
would probably have been Allaho, wouldn't it? I mean, some might say Honeysuckle, but it would have been one of those two. Let's be honest. And Allaho is. I mean, I think he's got a deeper field against him than he beat last year, to be perfectly honest with you. But I can't. If he turns up on his game, he's possibly just about right. Certainly, we've got so many good horses going just now. Obviously, we've got those really good 2-milers, but them aside, he's the best chaser in training. And he should just win if he turns up. It's still an interesting race for a look, though. We've still got 8 in there. Let's hope they all stay in. What's left, because it has got an interesting each way look the race. And I sat here and the horse that I spent more time thinking about than just about any other horse in training is Shan Blue. Now he's a great jumper and I love watching him, so that's fantastic. But what was the Charlie Hall all about? Was it really worth that much? Was he going to stop? I don't know. Coming back to 2 mile 5, yes, that's what we want. Why aren't they putting him in a handicap of 148 and picking up what they like? But he could be a Grade 1 winner. I've spent so much time thinking about this horse, and am I going to back him each way tomorrow? Am I not? I'm delighted. I don't have to think about him anymore because Janadil's in this race. Right. And Janadil is 11-1, and that is an obscene price to back him each way. He's the only horse in the John Durkin. He's the only horse that I've seen give Allaho a fright over this sort of trip. And people say, oh yeah, Allaho wasn't quite fit that day, it was his first run back. Janadil went off 22-1. It was his first run of the season as well. He was thought rusty when he turned up in that race. So he can improve on that too. And the fact he hasn't in 2 runs since is because they've had a 3-mile experiment. They've run him in the Savills in the Irish Gold Cup. And he's not quite stayed on either one. And they've both been relative speed tests at 3 miles, really. So let's just put that one aside. He's not a 3-miler, lads. Failed 3-milers, Allaho's one of them. So let's not hold it against him. And I just think at this trip, Janadil's got more improvement to come. He's probably a 170 horse at this trip. And you can back him each way in the Ryanair up against Allaho. Look, if Allaho turns up, you'll beat him. It's as simple as that. But, you know, even throwing that win bet half away or keeping it very much as an insurance policy.
He's the Fakir Dudery of this year,
much
isn't
so.
he?
He might even be slightly better than that horse.
Yeah. Well, I mean, he is a Grade 1 novice winner, isn't he? And he beat Conflated in that race. He beat Franco de Port, who has run really well in the Thirsties. Andy Dufresne was pulled up. He's run a blinder today, so it's not.
And he came from nowhere to do that as well. So we don't know this horse yet. That was his. And since then, he's run 3 times.
Yeah.
And mostly been under, mostly been under conditions that don't suit him. So this is a horse with loads of potential still.
And he was 5th in an Albert Bartlett and didn't get home that day either. So he's got Cheltenham Festival for.
Allaho did that too.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So Janadil is the baby Allaho.
He's not Fakir Dudery, he's the baby Allaho.
Well, okay, very well. Janadil is a 11-1. Vortex Fitness has got back in touch. Allaho looks hard to beat, but so did Shishkin. So anything can happen. I back Shan Blue because of Skelton's boldness. Well, I hope you mean Dan, because Harry Skelton's boldness might well have cost this horse a couple of races, but at 9-1 is Shan Blue. Tom Segal, Allaho, 8-13. Conflated obviously did you a favour last time out. Have you got an each way play up your sleeve, or do you think the favourite is a bit of a monster?
No, I think Conflated can win. I don't like Janadil. Sorry, Keith. Don't think he jumps well enough to win a proper Grade 1. As for Shan Bleu, I don't think he'll like the ground. And as for Allaho, I don't think he'll like the ground either. I think you've got to remember, it could be very, very soft tomorrow. Horses that run like as fast as he did last year on good to yielding ground can't be the same on heavy ground. They never are. He hasn't been so far in his career. He struggled home against Ellie May on heavy ground once. I remember thinking that he's not as good as they cracked up to be. Conflated will love the ground. I think he's going to. I just can't believe people think that his form last time in the Irish Gold Cup wasn't top class. Everything about it says it's top class. All the horses behind him were top class. He was travelled the best, jumped the best, stayed the best, did everything the best. I think he's the danger. I think he can win. Okay,
so why here and not the Gold Cup then, Tom?
Because he doesn't stay the Gold Cup trip. He's a bit keen, which is why having Allaho in the race is going to be perfect for him.
Is there? I mean, let's just talk about how this race is going to unfold. Because last year, Allaho, he took a few people by surprise the way he went on. Even though that's how he runs, they still thought, well, he stopped in the past, he'll stop today. And he took a few horses out of the comfort zone. But the Shan Bleu obviously doesn't mess around. No. Eldorado LN, who obviously made the run in last time out as well, and might well be up there from the outset. Is there a possibility that there are a couple of horses in here that say to Allaho, then come on, then see how you deal with us throwing it down to you?
Potentially, yeah. And Fanyan Destraval's in there as well. He's better when he gets ridden prominently, but I don't think he'll be like Eldorado Allen. I can't see them being able to lay up. The only horse that would be Shan Bleu, and I've written the analysis in the Racing Post today. Yes, to run really fast overall times, you need to run fast all the way through. And I timed last year's Marsh and Ryanair from the second in the Ryanair, first in the Marsh, because they're not exactly the same C and D, but there's like a best part of a furlong in it. So I just did that. And from out in the country, Shan Bleu ran that bit about 25 lengths faster than Allaho. Yeah. And Allaho ran a brilliant overall time. So Shan Bleu totally did himself out in the country. So he's obviously got that speed in him when Skelton wants to put it in. And I'm not sure a horse like Fanyan Destraval would, but Shan Bleu does. So there's a lot resting on Harry Skelton and what he does here. I'd be like you, I'd be telling him, calm down, son.
Yeah.
But, he has got that in him. He has maybe an opportune moment in the race. Just get down and thinking. Just get them thinking about Allaho and what can I go now? Because the ground is more testing. Tom's right in that regard. Yeah. Ground is more testing. It was easier to do it last year when the ground wasn't so deep.
I mean, in theory it was, but today, if you were anywhere off the pace, you were a million.
Oh, it's different. As we've said before, the deep ground favours frontrunners generally because making up ground from off the pace becomes so difficult.
And any slight mistake gets doubly punished.
Yeah, absolutely. It's the whole. Yeah, inefficiency is doubled down in terms of its inefficiency. Whereas you can't commit for home. Similarly, when you're on a horse like Allaho, you want to think, right, I'll fill him up now. When do I go for home? And you can't really think like that quite the same on testing ground. You've got to think about what you're saving because it might look a long way home from the bottom of that hill. So there is an interesting tactical element to it, but it's Townend knows he's got a lot to play with here, I think.
Yeah, okay. Allaho 8-13 then, Conflated 13-2, Chambly 9s, Janadilla is 11-1. We better come to you, David, as well. And a word on Eldorado LN, who of course was up in trip and very much at his best last time out. And the Tizzards have been rattling the crossbar this week. Could they have a horse who could challenge Allaho, do you think?
Yeah, it's kind of similar to most of their runners this week, and that there are each-way claims about him. So he looked good last time at Newbury, stepping up to 3 miles for the first time. Royal Pagaido second, didn't have his ground that day. He's a Horden Gold Cup winner as well this season, so he's had a good season already. I'd love to see him clearly run a massive race here, and he's definitely got each-way claims. Allaho's a difficult one. I was kind of thinking he was the best of all the short ones this week, the Honeysuckles, the Shishkins. Then you hear Tom saying what he's saying, and it puts a little bit of doubt in your mind. And then I listened to what Tom says about Conflated, and I think, God, yeah, maybe I've overlooked that one. I'm more confused now than I was 5 minutes ago. So thanks very much, chaps. All I'm going to do is give out our next price boost, which is around that man Mullins. And will he have a 1-2 here? He's got obviously Janadil and Mellon along with Allaho. We were 5-2. We're now 3-1. A Willie Mullins 1-2 in this what is now, for me, a very confusing Ryanair.
If you do decide what you fancy, David, just give us a shout and I'll pick out a stat that'll put you right off, if you like.
I'm going to say Conflated. They're running it here because Michael O'Leary wants to win his own Ryanair money.
Okay, Conflated, here we go. Hang on. The last 6 winners of this ran in at least 2 previous festivals. So there you go. Cheltenham form is key.
Is that right?
Yeah, exactly. There's a stat.
What a ridiculous stat. What a menial stat that is.
I mean, I shout out by now to Brian Galt, who has a website called Galt Stats. And if there's a stat out there for Cheltenham, it is insane, the depth there. Tom, I know, will be signing up for it.
Brian.
Come straight on, Brian.
Tom, what wins the Ryanair this year?
Well, probably Allaho, but I'll back Conflated.
Okay, Conflated then to potentially do Tom another favour. Keith?
Janadil each way for me.
Janadil each way, yeah, and I tend to be in agreement. Like I said, I do think that he's a little bit underrated in the market. So yeah, Janadil each way at 11-1 for me as well. David?
Conflated each way, I think.
You absolutely sure?
I'm going to ignore your stats, which I should have done today.
I mean, if you're backing Conflated each way, you could ignore your odds compilers as well. 8-13, 8 runners, and you're backing the second favourite each way, David. They'll be livid.
Well, I can't back with Coral, but if it annoys them, that's a win bonus already.
Fair enough.
Getting restricted at that rate.
What do we got on the chat? We've got a few. Let's have a look. Also, what's going on? Allaho brilliant last year, but nothing similar in 2 starts this season. Says Stevens 99. True, but then Honeysuckle was also the same in that way. Sam Caney says Allaho on the snaff, and Evan says Conflated is also on his radar as well. You have a bone to pick with that, with something from that.
Yeah, it was the Allaho's not been. I mean, his run last time was if that had been a grade 1, I think people would have been a lot more positive about it. The fact it was a grade 2, obviously they downplay it. Yeah. The second one, a grade 1, less than 4 weeks after that.
Yeah.
So I think I don't think that second run, I wouldn't be worried about his, certainly relative to Honeysuckle, for instance.
Okay.
Who hadn't been within £6 of her best all season, as Graham Roderick rightly pointed out.
Yeah, he did, but he's absolute pelters for it. The feature race of day 3 of the Cheltenham Festival is, of course, the Stayers at Hurdle here, and we've got, to be fair, a cracking lineup this year of various ages and experience and some old favourites, and as ever in the Stayers Hurdle, some ex-chasers, some quirky types, they're all quirky types, and it's Flooring Porter, Time Hill and Classical Dream, who are all 4-1 co-favourites here. 9-2 Champ, Royal Kahala at 6-1, Paisley Park at 6-1 as well, and then a big jump out to the Lisnager Oscar at 33-1, Home by the Lee also 33-1, and we've got Song for Someone and Kashari in there as well. Every year the Stayers Hurdle gets a bit of stick, Tom, but I mean, they're never dull, are they? You either get an incredible winner like a Thistlecrack or a Big Bucks, or it's a wide open contest where there's horses with profiles left, right, and centre. And this year it looks an absolutely fascinating clash.
Yeah, really interesting, isn't it? You've got lots of horses sort of on the comeback mission, Classical Dream and Champ, the former festival winners. You've got the sort of you've got last year's winner, Flooring Porter. Will he behave himself? He's a bit, he needs to lead. I think if he doesn't lead, he tends to hang in behind other horses. And you've got the Time Hill, haven't you? The solid one and the sort of British hope against them. Obviously, I haven't mentioned Paisley Park yet, who will love the rain if it turns into a real stamina test, provided he consents to start on time. He's got a chance too. But the one I like is the mare, Royal Kahala. I think she is got a great chance of winning this now the rain's come. £7 mare's allowance, we all know it's a huge bonus, and I thought she was mightily impressive in the Galmoy hurdle at Gowran last time. I know people will say the form's not up to much, but she's run 3 times over 2.5 miles and plus, and she's won every one very, very easily. I think she's a really, really strong stayer. She's from a family of stayers. I think everything's in her favour. Peter Fahey won the Imperial Cup at Sandown on Saturday with surprise package. I just think she is trained for the minute. She's got coming here in the best form of all of them, and I think she's going to win.
I mean, the people who were saying the Gorham race last time out, the form isn't any good, are the same people I think are saying Bob Ollinger doesn't jump fences very well, because we've got Ashdale. Bob finished in third, who went at odds on and finished third in the Coral Cup today. He got beat by Commander of Fleet, who got beat 80 lengths in that race. Any second now got beat 30 lengths and win the Bobby Joe Chase next time out. Court May got beat 25 lengths and finished second to Ellie May in a listed chase next time out. Every horse that's come out of that race has run a blinder next time out, Tom.
Yeah, form's really solid. I think it's because the second horse, Home by the Lee, ran so well, but he saved ground, got a great ride right round the inside. Royal Kahala sort of looped the whole field round the outs, must have run 10 lengths further than him. Classical Dream, I suppose, is the reason why people are downplaying it, because he clearly ran way below form. But I'm very positive on that form. I'm very positive on her as a mare going forward over 3 miles. And getting £7 on this ground, I think she's going to be really hard to beat. Okay,
yeah, she's 6-1. I mean, it could well be that the 3 from that race all run a blinder here. Home by the Lead was fairly unexposed. Did RPR 154 of offences last time out. It's 80-1, but ran a huge race. And I mean, Classical Dream's been my nap of the festival for a few weeks now. But bearing in mind how the first 2 days are going, we might well see the Classical Dream of a couple of seasons ago. But I just think that Gorham Park meeting, if you turned into the home straight anywhere near on the speed, you completely stopped. And Classical Dream did as usual, turned in on the bridle and stopped to a walk. But obviously the rain, I think, has gone against him potentially, because it was bad ground on that day. But he's a 5-time Grade 1 winner. He's top on RPRs. He's top on official ratings. He's top on speed figures. He's the only horse in here who's done a plus 170 RPR coming into this. He's a Supreme Novices winner. He's already a festival winner as well. He's trained by Willie Mullins, who's winning everything going. I mean, if Classical Dream gets beat tomorrow, I'm in trouble.
He's a swine, though, isn't
he? He is. He is. So, he's a 5-time Grade 1 winner.
Yeah, but you see the amount of times he's spat it out or not. Even when he won the Supreme, obviously massively impressive. But had he not been the monster that he's obviously an enormous talent. If he wasn't such an enormous talent, he'd have blown his brains in that Supreme, but he didn't, because he's an extremely talented horse. He's not the sort of, you say he's the sort of horse that you love to back. He's very much the sort of horse I don't like to back.
Well, I love to back these horses because people do take quite strong positions and negative positions against them. Therefore, I'm not saying, he's an absolute certainty, but he was 9-4 before Gorham for this race.
Yeah.
And he was 5-1 last week and he's 4-1 here. And I think that form's strong. So I think he should be roughly the same price as he was.
Yeah, I was definitely keen to get at him when he was favourite ahead of Flooring Porter, even after Leopardstown at Christmas, because that race was a bit of a, it was a funny old race. He let him get, he got that jump at the start and was allowed to sort of have it a little bit. After he got beat at Gowran, and it went Flooring Porter favourite, I all of a sudden found myself thinking, do I really want to be backing a horse that's plainly not as good as the second favourite? So you split a little bit between the two. Flooring Porter's a horse, all season I've been going out to bat for this horse, thinking he's not a below average Stayers hurdle winner lad. He really is going to put a bit of a fight up in terms of defending his title. I'm not sure if I'd put him up as my selection. He was an hour ago But things are, the way the ground's going and all that sort of stuff. It's not. There's no big bucks, there's no Thistlecrack, but usually the Stair Hurdle division, there's only room for one top class horse at a time because a lot of ones try jumping fences, they try going back and trip. But there's 4 or 5 in here that are genuine Grade 1 horses, genuine championship class horses. And so it's a really competitive race, and tactics are going to play a big hand in it. What champ turns up is going to play a big hand in it. What classical dream turns up is going to play a big hand in it.
Is Time Hill good enough?
He won't stay, will he?
Oh, that's what I'm asking you.
No, he's never convinced me he's the sort that just runs through the line over 3 miles in bad ground at Cheltenham. So he's the one. He might go in your play spot or something, but I think something will finish stronger than him, and so I don't think he'll win.
Okay. And what about the old boys, Tom? The champ and the Paisley Parks of this world, which, to be fair, have both been written off countless times and keep coming back.
Yeah, I mean, what was the main name of your stats man? Brian.
Yeah.
Brian will tell you that the 10-year-old hasn't won this since when? 1923, something like that.
10-year-olds have got a shocking record in Grade 1s, haven't they?
Then, Ross, I've teed you up perfectly.
You did.
Spit it out for us now.
All right, well, you keep talking and I'll sniff it out for you.
Got a good style. There's only one horse, I think, has run in this race, having run in the Gold Cup the year before, and he got placed. It was Bob's Worth.
Oh, right, yeah, okay, yeah, fair enough. Yeah.
He finished third in this race in his last ever run, having been, he basically met the end as a staying chaser in a Gold Cup winner. And yeah, so Champ's treading that route. The idea that his last 5 races, or before he's running the Game Spirit, Gold Cup, Long Walk, Cleave, and now the Stairs Hurdle.
I mean, it's like a Cub Scout trying to get all the badges. It's just running everything you could possibly get. Asian Championship races for you, Tom. He said real class will usually bury the stats, but this century 181 horses have contested the 4 championship races when aged 10 or older. 178 were beaten. Special Tiara. When Duvan bombed out, of course, Sprinter Sacra and Moscow Flyer, your 3 there. All of them, of course, in the Champion Chase.
It's always been a weird one for me, that. The Champion Chase is only one of those races that gives old horses any joy.
Well, the Champion Chase is just becoming a weird race, isn't it, Tom?
Well, that's not that. Those races day one weren't that competitive, were they? That's the point. I think there were 5 or 6 runners, and they were, Special Tiara was winning a bad race, and so on and so forth. So I just think when you get to 3 miles and when you get to staying trips, these old horses, they just they've had enough. They've been through the barrier a few too many times, and for them to win them, I think it's really hard.
Okay, David Stevens, you got a price boost for us, and this is wide open. So the Ryanair was confusing. I want to know whether you've nailed your colours to the mast here.
No, and once again, listening to the guys here, I mean, Tom obviously made a very compelling case for Orkahala and sounds incredibly confident and single-minded. Keith sounds as confused by this race as I am. And I'm just looking back through it, and I want you to tell me, what are the stats on horses that won this race 2 years ago, coming back 2 years on?
You're just doing this on purpose now. You're doing this on purpose. I don't know, David. Tell us about the price boost, and I'll try and find that.
Well, it'll be a good.
That's my way of saying I'm going to end up having a few, because I'm so confused by all the ones at the top of the betting. I'd chuck a few quid at Lisnagar Oscar and hope that go on the softer ground and should get a strong pace. And we do have a price boost, you're right. And this is a slightly strange one, which I did have to double check with the compilers. They've gone for an English winner of the Stayers Hurdle. And I pointed out that Lisnagar Oscar is trained in Wales, and they're trying to claim that Pembrokeshire is closer to Ireland than it is England, which it may well be geographically. So you don't get Lisnagar Oscar running for you in this one. It was 5-6 in English train winner of the Stayers. It's now 11-10. That gives you Time Hill, Champ, Paisley Park. So you've got a few good ones running for you.
How can you not just throw in Lisnagar Oscar? Tell the Dark Knight to sort his ideas.
It is a bit daft, isn't it? I mean, they've got the wording. They've worked backwards some of the bad wording, haven't they? They've just gone, oh God, there's a Welsh horse in it. What are we going to do? Pretend it's deliberate. Pretend it's deliberate.
But it's all we're all the same country, right, Keith?
Yeah, of course we are. Look at the sangfroid on my face.
I can't find the stat necessarily, but Ingles Dreamer missed the season and then came back and won it, didn't he?
There we go.
Big Bucks won 4 in a row, so he's got 2 where he'd won 2 years earlier, and won So the record would actually be surprisingly good, I suspect.
Yeah, okay, there we go.
It'll be one of the great systems that we've somehow stumbled across.
Yeah, there's lies, damn lies, and statistics and all that. So, what wins the stayers then? I can't remember what we've come down on.
I hope you were going to forget to ask me.
What wins?
Flooring Porter was the one that I've been batting for all season. I backed him weeks ago. I will probably have another bet near the off, depending on what the prices are doing. But I'm just going to nominally say Flooring Porter because I've already sort of backed him and I've already got a bit of skin in the game.
Okay, very well. Tom?
Yeah, I like Flooring Porter too. He was my original selection before it got very testing. And because of that, I think Royal Kahala might win tomorrow.
Okay, Royal Kahala, that is a 6-1 shot. I will go with the, what did you call him? What do you call Classical Dream?
Swine.
A swine, there you go. Incredibly harsh for a 5-time Grade 1 winner, but Classical Dream it is for me. And David Stevens?
I'm going for the Welsh train winner of the Stayers Hurdle, Isnagar Oscar.
Absolutely. And the chat sets at home, Royal Kahala only just beat Heaven Help Us, says Stevens 99. Well, yeah, I guess, but up in trip and that's probably not bad form, really. Paisley Park to retain the crown, says Lee Murray. Off-world is on Kahala as well. And Royal Kahala has her ground, says Kenneth McClary. So quite a few people agreeing with Tom on that one. 3 races to look at then tomorrow as we crack on with the plate here. This handicap chase over just about 2 miles and 5 furlongs. 4.5, I would say. The Glancing Queen is 4-1. Celebrity LN is 9-2. Imperial Alcazar is 6-1. Grand Parody 13-2. 10-1 is Fusel Raffles. Simply the Bets is also a non-runner. Fancy Foundations 14-1. Spirit of the Games at 16-1, and bigger prices the rest. And Tom, given that the Glancing Queen wasn't favourite when I looked at this market a couple of hours ago, and that given the horse was beaten by Long Press last time out, I think you might have something to do with this.
No, I haven't tipped her tomorrow. I did tip her earlier in the week.
Oh.
I think
Is it Keels then? It might be a Keels job.
No, I don't think so. I think people are just cottoning on to the long press form, aren't they? And and how well she ran that day. The forms worked out well. Oscar Elite was in there. There's a few others in there that worked out. Sorry, my dog is putting her head into the shot there.
What does she fancy, Tom?
What do you fancy, Polly? The Glancing Queen. Yeah, she fancied the Glancing Queen too. Interesting. For those that like pedigrees, and such as me, Jeremy has had 2 runners at the festival this year. They have both won. He had 4 winners at the festival last year. He was also the sire of R. Connor, who was the winner of a Triumph Hurdle. He is becoming something of a Cheltenham specialist. He is the sire of the Glancing Queen. I think she has a massive chance on what she's shown over fences and what she did in bumpers and over hurdles. I think she's very well handicapped. What I don't know is whether she's going to stay in the testing ground. That's the one thing she has to prove. I think she probably will. She was a point-to-point winner, and she'd stayed well at Warwick. That would be a much speedier track than this. And if that's the case, I think she's got a good chance. I think the big danger for me is Imperial Alcazar, because he was so impressive here the other day. He's gone right up in the weights as a result, but he likes soft ground. He stays very well. He jumped brilliantly. I think those 2 stand out for me. I'm just scared that Celebra Dalen's going to get behind and not jump so well around here. So I'd be slightly worried about him. And to be honest, it was quite hard to find anything else at big prices that I really fancied. You've obviously got the other novice, Grand Parody from Gordon Elliott's yard, but he's not sure he's any great shakes. And the rest are sort of, you'd be surprised if they were good enough to beat these the 4 novices at the top, or the 4 unexposed ones at the top of the market. So I think that the market has this right. I went for the Glancing Queen a few weeks ago. I will stick with her, but I am slightly concerned that whether she'll quite get up the hill.
Okay, yeah, the Glancing Queen, as you said, by Jeremy, who, when he was winning the jersey, I think we were all saying, yeah, soft ground at Cheltenham Festival in a few years. He'll be a fantastic sire. All the horses to mention, we've got obviously Celebrity, he's a 10-year-old, but he's just the owner in particular, Saluflo, Balnagor, Munater. This is his type of race. But when Tom was saying he couldn't find anything else at a big price, your eyebrows were raised to my left, and
Well, you know exactly. I don't think they were, but you know it from earlier when we were talking.
Yeah. Oh no, but the people who are watching now don't, Keith.
No,
so
I
I'm
know.
setting you up for it. I'm
so
setting you up.
Are we acting?
Yeah, this is it.
Sorry,
Yeah, yeah.
right, no. Well, what
I'm pretending we just met outside the studio.
See, I was going to tell a nice anecdote how you tapped me on the shoulder about an hour before the show and said, "I've got one here that's going to love the ground and the plate." And I saw back that yesterday.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
That's exactly because it's Adramel, who I thought would probably get pulled out given the way the ground was on Tuesday. But I thought I'll back him anyway. I'm one that'll. I've never seen a ground thing that I wouldn't challenge unless there was strong evidence to the contrary. But Adramel was this time last year he lost his way when the ground got in the spring. But before that he'd won the Leamington at Warwick, and he's actually taken really well to fences. He's won the last 2 wins at Haydock have been in small fields, yes, but the times have actually been really quite taking. The one in December where he beat Dreams of Home by 15 lengths. The time he was 5 seconds faster overall than some handicappers later on the card that are quite good, and only 1 second slower from about 3 out. So it was a good time. The time wasn't that bad last time either when he beat Shaman de Burley. Now Shaman de Burley had been improving loads for Kerry Lee. So I don't think
also was beaten. Keep Rolling was beaten 83 lengths and then came out and won at Hereford the other day by 13 lengths on mark of 1-2-1. So the form looks solid enough.
It does, and he's only gone up another pound for that. I think you would see even on his hurdles form, you would think talent-wise he's got more than 140 in him, and he's taken so well to fences, and he should be a better chaser. So I can see him being better still than that. Delighted that the ground's come like it has. And Tom Lacey this week, I got a question I didn't expect to ask this morning. I was at Huddersfield train station and somebody asked me, "Has Tom Lacey got the best 2 mile hurdler in Britain?"
That was at Huddersfield train station.
Well, it was in my pocket. It was in a phone, but I was at Huddersfield train station at the time, and it was David Carr asked me. He says, "Has Tom Lacey got the best 2 mile hurdler in Britain?" And does he? And I said, "Oh yeah, Glory and Fortune, 5th in the champion hurdle. Came out a pound better than Epatont, given the mare's allowance that comes into it." So that's not the point I'm trying to make. I wouldn't.
What is the point you're trying to make?
Tom Lacey's had 2 runners this week. Glory and Fortune, 150 to 1, 5th in the champion hurdle. T Clipper, 4th in the Ultima.
Yeah.
So his Forster running well. His record in handicaps generally is really, really good. Yeah. He's got in all handicaps.
It's 21%.
21%.
Yeah.
So he's a trainer that places his horses very well. And I think Adramel, for a horse that was 25, you're still getting 20s. I can't see him on Coral's thing, so I can't cite Coral's prices on the screens in front of us. So I'm sure David will tell us. But he's a really strong fancy, actually.
I mean, he was sent off 9-1 for the Albert Bartlett last year, wasn't he? But where the ground was completely the opposite of what's going to be expected. He's 4 from 4 in heavy. He's 3 from 4 in soft. Hence why you were trying to kick the water jug over, I think, to try and get...
Just trying to short all the fuses. I thought it was going badly, so I was trying to get us off here.
So Adramel, David, what price?
All I can say is I hope everyone watching at home or the pub, wherever they are watching this from, have enjoyed the last 5 minutes as much as I have watching on. We've had Tom and his dog Polly doing their ventriloquist act, and I, for one, was totally convinced that Polly said that the Glancing Queen's going to win this race. And then we've had some of the weirdest improvisation from you two in the studio there. We've had jugs flying everywhere. We've had Huddersfield train state. It's been one of the most entertaining few minutes of my life. Anyway, Adramel is 16 to 1, having been 25 to 1 not long ago. So we know what you boys have been doing this afternoon, clearly. And this all leads me on to say that Imperial Alcazar is my bet of the day tomorrow. Fergal O'Brien had a few choices to make for this horse. Horse and distance winner. He'll love the heavy ground. He's got form over hurdles on heavy ground. And yeah, Imperial Alcazar. I'm not confused like I have been for the last 2 races. This is all very simple.
Okay, very well. And I suggest that the last few minutes have been the most entertained you've been in years, David. I'd suggest a long, hard look at your life. The Glancing Queen, they're 4-1 favourite here for this plate. Tom, what are your tips?
I backed the Glancing Queen a few weeks ago. I'll stick with her.
Lovely stuff. Keith?
Adramel for me, please.
Adramel it is. I will agree entirely. And David, just remind us.
Yeah, I mean, you're absolutely right. The pandemic has hit me hard. It has been a particularly uninteresting 2 years. Imperial Alcazar, very strong selection.
Very well. Imperial Alcazar, it is at 6 to 1. 2 races to go then. We've got the Mayor's Novices Hurdle here. Grade 2 contest where, as ever, it is going to be, in theory, a Willie Mullins benefit. He's got Dino Blue, he's got Brandy Love. They're 9 to 4 and 9 to 2 in the betting here. Party Central splits them at 6 to 1. Then we go back to another Mullins runner in the shape of Grangie at 8 to 1. Love at Enbois is 12 to 1 with Impervious. Piste is 18 to 1 with Mighty Blue. And it is bigger prices. The rest, of course, Willie Mullins won every renewal of this race until last year when Henry de Bromhead had the 1-2. But Henry de Bromhead did everything right last season, of course. But the betting is back to being a Willie Mullins benefit here. Keith, first shot to you, because Dino Blue, last time out, speed figures were fantastic. I thought, we've got a proper horse on our hands. Entered in this race, I thought, not sure about the ground. Suddenly, it's looking great for her.
There's nothing against her, really, is there? She looked really special that day. It was heavy ground, but she won by a long way. She's obviously going to get testing ground again here. Even Pedigree's pointing the right way. She's a half-sister to Blue Sari, who was going to be second in the Coral Cup last year, but he fell at the last behind Heaven Help Us. He was going to be second, but for that, he's a really smart chaser too. So there's just a lot going for her here. The Dawn Run is a race, I'm going to be perfectly honest, it's a race that I struggle to really get excited about, but we could have a really exciting mare in this race this year. She looked really good last time.
Yeah, like I said, related to Blue Sari, he was runner-up in a bumper and would have been runner-up in a Coral Cup as well. So there's Cheltenham form in the family, that's for sure, but Dino Blue 9-4. That said, there's a lot of horses up against her here, Tom, and inexperience could play a part. And Brandy Love is also a bit of a quirky customer, so there's potential that the front two in the market are either inexperienced or too quirky, and there could be something a little bit bigger in here.
Possibly. I get what you said about Dino Blue. We've seen horses like this, though, before who falter due to lack of experience. We saw one on Tuesday, didn't we, with Gaelic Warrior, who probably did have a stone in hand but still didn't win. I quite like Party Central. I like the fact that she's got the experience. I like the fact that she's going to be ridden by Davy Russell. I like the fact that she's going to come late. I like the fact that she's got soft ground form. Don't like the fact that she's got a penalty. That doesn't help her one bit. But I just think the race is going to set up perfectly for her. Gordon Elliott's mare, Queen's Brook, was a bit unlucky on the first day. I think she's the danger to Dino Bleu.
Okay, very well. Party Central 6-1. She's also got Say Goodbye in this race as well. She was also entered in the Martin Pipe, and I thought that form was really, really good. And the second wasn't given too much of a hard time of it, Tom. So I think that form's good. Is there any chance of a turnaround in form, do you think?
Not according to Gordon Elliott's mob. No, they think they're totally different class. But on what we saw at, and they think Party Central's totally different class. But on what we saw on the track, yes. Because she clearly finished well, didn't she, without being put under maximum pressure. I would say that Party Central was pulling herself up in front, though. I mean, I think David would ride her totally different this time and come, probably 2 furlongs later than he did that day. I think she'll be Say Goodbye again, probably. But yes, I get your point. And Say Goodbye is a huge price. Like you, I would have preferred her over half a mile further.
Yeah. I agree. I think she was pretty much the same price as the Martin Pipe, and I thought, perfect, that'll be spot on. But she's 25-1 to Party Central's 6-1 here, David. And I ask you about extra places all the time for these races, and we've got 5, I do believe.
We have got 5 places in this Mares Novices Hurdle, and this was a race when I sat down this morning to study tomorrow's card. Yes, I actually do study, believe it or not. We hadn't had the rain, obviously, at Cheltenham. I thought I found one here at a price, and that one was Nurse Susan, because the better ground was going to suit her. She was Lingfield last time on heavy ground, but I'm nothing if not resourceful, so the rain came, so I'm just going to go for the horse that beat her that day at Lingfield, which was Love Envoy, or Love Envoy, for Harry Fry. Has been actually backed a little bit, 16-1 into 12-1. As I say, it was heavy ground at Lingfield. I think she probably brings the best of the home form to this race. So, yeah, Nurse Susan's gone out the window to replace by Love Envoy. But we do have the final price boost of the night on this race. And this is, will any trainer other than Willie Mullins or Gordon Elliott win this Mares Novice Hurdle? Was 6-4, now 2-1. So you'll be getting Love Envoy and all the others that aren't trained by Willie or Gordon running for you at 2-1.
Okay, Tom's going to get his calculator out now and work out whether that's a decent boost. Tom?
Well, I'm going to ask, does anyone actually have these bets, Dave?
Yes.
Breaking the fourth wall tonight, aren't we? Is that
absolutely. Yeah, why not? Let's just go home before the last.
Ross is now going to give us the stats on how these horses that have been the subject of these enhanced specials have done.
I am absolutely not going to do that. But in terms of that price boost in particular, I think Impervious has got to have a big chance as well, who beat Party Central on soft ground, good ground last time out. So you've got potentially Colin Murphy and Brian Hayes running for you as well in the shape of 12-1 Shot Impervious. Last race then on day 3 of the Cheltenham Festival is the Kim Muir, of course. Amateur riders back in the saddle this season. We had a small field for the other amateur race earlier in the week, but no disappointments here. 24 going to post, as you would expect, all the right jockeys, the right connections, the right trainers for the Muir, which is a very unique race indeed. And Frontal Assault and Schoolboy Hours are 11-2 joint favourites. Ain't That a Shame 15-2 with Mr Fogpatches. Smoking Gun is 10-1. Glenlow 11-1. Omar Moretti, finally a British range runner at 11-1. Mr Coffee is 12-1, and it is bigger prices the rest. Again, another conversation me and Keith were having off air, Tom, is that there are always very Muir type horses. The horses you just expect to run in this race, they run the same race every single time under those amateur jockeys, and we've got some proper Muir horses in here. But the main thing that stood out to me was that we've got 24 runners. You often think, a few of these will have been plotted up. 10 of them ran their career best RPR last time out, so there's a whole host of improvers potentially.
I want to know what were you and Keith were talking about on the way in. You seem to have got everything sorted, you two. Blimey.
You just get Muir horses, don't you? You get.
Who's not talking about the Muir?
Yeah, we spent a good hour talking about the Muir.
Yeah, Polly, that's for sure.
What did you make of this race, Tom?
I thought it was really hard. Didn't get Frontal Assault. That was my way in. I didn't really fancy him. I didn't know where he came from, really. I get it's the Gordon Elliott the factor, but I'm not sure he's got that great form, really. I couldn't really find it. Schoolboy Hours I got, because he won the Paddy Power last time. That's worked out well. Step Up in Trip should suit him. Rain will have suited him, so I get that. Ain't That a Shame? Very badly handicapped, I thought, on what he'd done so far. But I think he's got plenty of improvement in him. He probably should have won at Navan, one of those last time when he got pipped on the line by Champagne Platinum. Don't think Mr Fogpatches jumps well enough for me. Same with Smoking Gun. Very interested in Glenlow, though. Second in the Pertemps final to Sire de Burley, beaten a shorthead, probably should have won. I just think he's been a slow burner. I think he's been. I thought he ran really well over 2 miles 3 in a good handicap chase at Limerick. I think it was 2 starts ago. Stayed on strongly last time in a amateur rider race. Barry O'Neill's on board. It wouldn't surprise me if he goes really well, Glenlow. And the other one I like is Omar Moretti, the head of the English challenge or the British challengers there. Just think he's one. Just wins every time I see him run. He wins. Got some very good hurdles for him. A good horse, and one of his hurdles runs. It's now rated 130 something, 137. Thought he was really impressive when he beat Come On Teddy. I thought he was even more impressive at Catterick last time. He loves soft ground. He'll stay forever. So they were my two, Glenlow and Omar Moretti.
Okay, Glenlow and Omar Moretti are 11-1, the pair of them. What we were talking about, Keith, was Muir horses. And I said to you that Mr Fogpatches is one of the most Muir horses I've ever seen. Oh, yeah. Runs the same race, runs in all these races, the Thyestes, your Troy Towns.
Doesn't jump, boys.
Sorry?
Doesn't jump well enough. He'll fall over.
Will he?
Yeah.
Has he ever fallen over?
But he doesn't jump well enough.
He's never fallen over. He's never fallen over.
Lost Scottish National through terrible jumping. He should have won that last year or whenever it was. If he
five should have won that Scottish National.
Yeah, I thought the Thyestes form was fantastic. I think he jumped perfectly well behind Commodore.
Did he jump well in the Thyestes? I think he'll get behind. That's my issue with him.
Okay, yeah.
To be fair, getting behind is very Muir.
Yes, it is. Yeah, it's the Maldini of the approach.
Maldini,
to come from God knows where. But I just thought he would at some point, and he's got a great jockey on board, obviously, who rode the winner in the shape of Statler, and he's clearly on a high after Facile Vega as well today. I get what Tom says. He'll be just the straight back place angle here. Did you have anything up your sleeve, Keith?
Yeah, I mean, Omar is probably going to be. I'll have him on side. I was very impressed by Catterick. But obviously, with the ground having gone like it has, I've gone looking down the betting. I think like everybody, gone looking down for these soft ground horses. There's two I sort of picked out that have really deep ground form. One of them being Mint Condition, who won in really bad ground at Haydock in December, beating Ashtown Lad, who actually went a little bit hard, to be honest. So he was a little bit fortunate, but he's back down at the same mark now. His form before that against Kiltiri Briggs at Haydock I thought was pretty decent as well. So just having that form, he basically drowned in the Grand National Trial last time. You get behind in that race, you're going to really struggle, and I think he did. Got Miss Jean Andrews odds. Jean Andrews was the winner before. She wrote Doomsday Book to win this race at a massive price. The other one, I won't talk about this because until I saw the rain coming, and I said this horse was like a corpse. But It's an Elegant Escape, who's not, obviously he's £20 lower than he ever was, but he's never run in the proper slogs that he needs to win. He's been second in a Cotswold chase, so he handles Cheltenham. And he's got the blinkers back on. His first run in blinkers, he got beaten 2 lengths in third in the Gladbrooks Trophy of 160. So I don't know the jockey, I'm going to be honest, Miss Thomasina Elliston, but you can see him being, it is an enormous price, and he might just get a daft fiver just in case.
Okay.
Yeah.
He's a proper old-fashioned soft ground slogger. So again, a bit of a Kim Muir horse.
He's not had that this year.
No, he hasn't. He hasn't had it for a while. Frontal Assault and Schoolboy Hours, though, the joint favourites here, and again, they look to have been plotted up for the Kim Muir. David, round us off with what have you got for the finale tomorrow?
Well, what I've got is the lesson that there's no point studying early in the morning. So I picked another one out in this race. I was going to put it at a big price. The Mighty Don, trained by my mate Nick Gifford. He's come out to the ground. And Keith has somewhat stolen my thunder with my other big price one, which was Elegant Escape, of course, trained by the Tizzards. Tommy Easton, she's a girl in the yard down there at Collins, so it's a massive moment for her. And the rain, of course, has come absolutely in time for Elegant Escape. So I'm hoping it doesn't dry out too much tomorrow. He's now a 50-1 shot. Of the ones at the head of the betting, though, I was with Tom on Omar Moretti. He just keeps on winning, as Tom said. He's 4 from 5 in the runs we've seen. Won't mind the soft ground at all. So if the Irish are going to get beaten, Omar Moretti could be the one. But I would love to see, goes without saying, Elegant Escape run a massive race.
Okay, there we go then. The Kim Muir then is rounding us off for tomorrow's action. But before we go, let's get the naps. Naps of the day for day 3 of the Cheltenham Festival. Starting off with the man to my left, Keith Melrose. Nap of the day, please.
Adramel in the plate. Back him each way, but yeah, Adramel in the plate, please.
Okay, very well. You're welcome. And Tom Segal, nap, please, for Stayers Hurdle Day.
Royal Kahala, please.
Okay, very polite gentleman this evening.
It's like Rachel Riley's over there, isn't it?
Oh, lovely.
A consonant, please, Rachel.
Absolutely, 3 from the top. And I'll take you on, Tom, which has gone horribly for me this week. So classical dream it is, but for the Mullins team, albeit that form last time, I might have to have a saver on Royal Kahala. David Stevens, final nap of the day from you.
Yeah, just a quick shout out for our failed to finish offer, obviously, which could be Mr. Fog Patches or not. I'm confused whether he gets round or not, but that's you get your money back as a free bet up to a tenner. We've got our Racing Super Series game free to play. Find a horse to place in every race for a chance to win a share of 50 grand. And the nap is Imperial Alcazar.
Lovely stuff. That's it. Best of luck tomorrow to everyone. Thanks for watching, of course, at home. If you haven't already, do like that stream and subscribe to the channel as well. We'll be back same time tomorrow to have a look at Gold Cup Day. And as ever, it's a long week. The ground's gone weird, so do please gamble responsibly. Sleep tight. We'll see you tomorrow. Have a good Thursday at Cheltenham.